everyone, and welcome not just to the damage report, but to 2021. A fresh new place, a clean slate where everything's great, everybody's very nice to each other, and it's all coming our way. Francesca, thank you for joining me on the first show of the year. You're a great guest, and it's gonna be a great year because we're gonna insist on it.
I like how you're wake and baking for the first week of work. Clearly, you've just been baking. Lots of baking happening.
It's not baking because this was far harder stuff, but one way or another, it's gonna be a good year.
The Great British Wake and Bake Off is a show that I am going to produce.
You should 100% at least do it on Newsbroke as like a sketch or something. I would watch that.
Absolutely.
Anyway. Welcome. I'm glad that we're starting off the year on a Monday with you because I'm not like Fantastic Mondays carried me somewhat through 2020, but I need a fantastic 2021, and hopefully you're gonna deliver that for us. Anyway, we got a lot of news, too much news for both the show and the pre-show actually. But thank you to everybody who's joining us, regardless of where you are. Appreciate you being here. But wherever you are, please do whatever it is that makes the algorithm happy. Click a bell, ring a thing, I don't know, ding-a-ling, whatever. But if you could do that and share the stream, that'd be very nice. And we're gonna chat with you as we go along, because one would have expected that almost a year into the pandemic, we would have like become professional again, but I don't think it's ever coming back. Like so many things, I don't think it's coming back. Anyway.
Are you ever gonna wear a suit again, you think, John?
I did for like the election. And when I interviewed Bernie Sanders, I put on a tie.
That's smart.
No, I do want to. It would feel very weird to do it now. I'm alone in an abandoned building. You don't wear ties in that context, but someday I do want to. I miss that. I had like suit jackets and stuff.
As long as you're wearing pants. I mean, I will never put on a real pair of pants again. So help me God. That is what I want the pandemic to take forever.
Really fast. My wife and I went to take our dogs on a walk yesterday, and she was like, "Can I just wear my house slippers?" And I like pointed down. I was like, I'm in Grinch pajamas and I'm not changing. Yeah, you can wear your house slippers. Who are we impressing? Anyway, and I literally was in Grinch pajama bottoms and no shirt. Anyway, okay, well, with that, why don't we launch into some of this news? Because there's a lot coming. You know what, actually, let's just launch into this first clip.
So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have.
Okay, so what did you hear there? Well, you already know what you heard there. It's the absolutely insane phone call that Donald Trump and Mark Meadows and others had with Georgia state officials, including Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. And he is saying, I want you to find me enough votes +1 to make me somehow win this election. And that by itself is huge. We've got other clips that are absolutely insane, but really fast, before we get into this entire mess, Francesca, the big story of the weekend, do we got him?
Ooh, we so got him. Oh, crimes. There's so many crimes. How many crimes have there been? Honestly, at this point, is this really? This is not going to be the last crime. But of course, I am trying to, as I listen to the full hour, try to remember that while I am so astoundingly unsurprised and totally numb to all of the crimes, that this truly matters. And anyone standing beside this president absolutely is part and parcel of a criminal enterprise, as the GOP has pretty much entirely become, at least on a federal level.
Yeah, I mean, like, this isn't the first time, this isn't the 7th time. He's just admitting it. He's just saying, I want you to do the crimes, and when you're done doing the crimes, do some more crimes. I like crimes, please crime with me. That's all, crime me a river. That's all this is, and there's gonna be more of it here. Listen to this next excerpt.
I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot.
Okay, so I love that he just constantly talks about other people, the thoughts that he has about himself. Like he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he speaks with such surety. But anyway, yeah, I want you to announce that you're going to re-examine the vote in time before the Georgia runoffs, but I want you to do it with only people who are gonna overturn it. Not that Republican lawyer, because he seems like he's not buying the conspiracy theories, so he's out. Let's get people in who will overturn this thing. And let's just like the most important fact that we need to understand as we continue forward is it doesn't matter that he's doing this. Not legally, it doesn't matter. Hypothetically, he's breaking the law, but breaking the law doesn't matter. So let's bear that in mind. He's admitting he wants to overturn the election. He is pressuring state election officials to overturn the election. He's saying only bring in people who will overturn the election, but nothing's gonna happen to him because it's 2021 and he's the president and he can do whatever he wants.
Somehow, I mean, especially if a preemptive pardon is actually a thing, if a president can pardon himself for like future crimes or thought crimes, which I'm sure he thinks is real and would be if he was president again. Look, this entire hour is so important to listen to because you can see the ways that he, one, has no strategy. The strategy is simply lean on Raffensperger and the rest of Georgia's officials to appeal to their loyalty to the Republican Party. That's it. The strategy isn't let's get to the truth and let's find out an accurate count. You'll notice he never says accurate account. He in fact says, like you just played, all I need is 11,000. What does this big piece of paper say? Like what does my chart say? What's Stephen Miller holding up? With Sidney Powell, what banner are they like flashing? But what are the cue cards saying? Like he doesn't want to recount to find accuracy because accuracy might show what it is already shown, which is that Biden won Georgia. And yet over an hour, there is constant, okay, well, what about the dead people that vote? There are no dead people that voted. Okay, what about the fact that I was ahead in polling? Totally doesn't matter. Okay, well, what about the fact that like social media, have you heard the internet says, and until one point someone says, look.
Oh, we got that stuff for you.
Oh, we got to talk about it. But it's just this, it's a constant like, it reminds me of, it's like a kid at a counter in an arcade trying to like, okay, look, so I got 8 tickets, but like, I know that bear up there says 40,000 tickets. Well, look, if you take a few pennies I got in my, backpack and a few limp balls, like I'm sure we could work something out. Like it's the saddest grift.
It is. I mean, especially because, and let's throw another sort of foundational fact for our analysis of this story, is all of this, like it's clearer than the Nixon tapes, right? This is more obviously illegal than the Nixon tapes, but whatever, that's all fine. All of this effort, the crazy pressure campaign, the fact that throughout this call, he's accusing the lawyers and the Secretary of State of committing crimes. He's effectively threatening them. All of this is to overturn the results of Georgia, which, lest you forget, would not lead to him winning the election. He would still lose the election if he won Georgia. Everybody is pretending as if, well, if they do overturn it, that no, he still loses. He not only by like 6 million votes in the popular vote or more than that, but he would lose in the Electoral College as well. So just bear that in mind. Now, really fast, before we get into more of the clips, how did we get this? Because getting this sort of tape is pretty crazy. Well, apparently, here is the order of events, I believe. Trump tweeted back on the 3rd, I spoke to Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger yesterday about Fulton County and voter fraud in Georgia. He was unwilling or unable to answer questions such as the ballots under table scam. I don't even know what that one is. Ballot destruction, out of state voters, dead voters, and more. He has no clue. And so Raffensperger responded, I don't know what his voice sounds like really, respectfully, President Trump, what you're saying is not true. The truth will come out. And when he said that from a position of having the auditory receipts, because they had, apparently, according to officials in Raffensperger's office, they recorded it, but they didn't plan to release it unless Trump attacked him or misrepresented the call, which is an amazing thing to say, because like, I think he might attack you or misrepresent the call. That's sort of what he does. And so let's keep it real. They recorded the call to eventually release the call, and Trump immediately triggered the release of the call. And so now we have all this amazing information.
Yeah, you don't get on the phone with Trump without recording it, obviously, at this point. You know he's gonna put the squeeze on you, and maybe you've mentioned this or will mention it, but I'm gonna mention it. John, they tried to call Raffensperger like 18 times. This was not the first time that they tried to schedule this call or just call him. Like, you know how many send to voicemails that is? You're just like, oh God, oh fine. You know, it's like just like I'll talk to my mom, my dad, my like I'll talk to anybody before this. You know, how many other people? My ex.
It's the point where like Raffensperger is like just trying to watch an episode of Jeopardy with his wife, and his wife's like, "Why is your phone buzzing every 3 minutes? Who's texting you?"
Yes.
Sorry, babe. It's just the president.
You stay away from him. He's not interested. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's after 10. It's impolite. Anyway, yeah, no. Okay, so there is a lot more of this whiniest phone call I've ever, like a little baby boy he sounds. So let's get into some more of it. Here is Trump in that call, spreading multiple conspiracy theories and just presenting it in this like desperate, please just tell me it's true sort of way, and then getting smacked down one after the other.
And cut them in half again. It's more votes than we need.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong. We talked to the congressmen and they were surprised, but I guess there was a person named Mr. Raynard that came to these meetings and presented data. And he said that there was dead people, I believe it was upward of 5,000. The actual number were two people that were dead.
Do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery. Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having.
Well, but have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure, Mr. President.
I think they removed the inner parts of his skull and replaced them with other parts. Like raccoon organs and not brains, just random parts of raccoons are now in his head. Like, he's the president of the United States. He's like, did they like take out the USB drive? Like, did they do that? No, because that's illegal, you know.
But I love the idea that this whole phone call sounds to me like, again, Sidney Powell and Stephen Miller are like doing like charades with Trump to try and get him like, have you seen the inside of the machine? You know, and like Sidney's like, but the aliens with Hugo Chavez, you know, and like just the number of, I just love all the props that clearly surround him in this phone call, to like how all the different, again, cue cards that are like, what about this? You know, baseless lie. What about this conspiracy theory? Oh man, and just the fuzzy math, man. If I could say fuzzy math in the year 2021, let's never not be able to say that. So much fuzzy math.
Oh my God, yeah. You know, there's so much that just fundamentally bothers me so much about this tape, and the fact that like they're all defending it, which we'll get to. But let's go to one more wacky bit of this. So the people who are fact checking throughout this call are like trying to get through to him. They correct him over and over. But by the way, it doesn't matter. We're not playing the whole hour plus tape, but you'll be shocked to find out that later in the tape, he starts talking about them moving the machines and dead people voting again. Like, it doesn't matter that you correct him, he's not learning. But anyway, here he is defending his sources for all of this conspiracy theory.
Mr. President, the problem you have with social media, people can say anything.
No, this isn't social media. This is Trump media. It's not social media. It's really not. It's not social media. I don't care about social. I couldn't care less. Social media is big tech. Big tech is on your side. I don't even know why you have a side, because you should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, I know you don't. No, you don't.
It's like it's the I know we're years into this, but it's just the crazy guy sitting in the next stool over in the bar. That's all it is. It's nuts. Social media. It's Trump media. Social media is big tech. Big tech's on your side. Why do you have a side? Who's on my side? Give me another
all right, buddy.
side of bacon.
I'm gonna call your wife, and it's time to go home, Donnie. Time to go home. Going home. Just one more song on the jukebox. Macho man. I wanna be a macho man. Cry more.
That's all it is.
Cry more, you baby. Ooh, sipping up all them tears.
Yeah. Trump doesn't care about social media. He's not into that. And like in the defense, no, it's Trump media. Oh, sorry, Mr. President. Then it's clearly gets good information. It's media you find so comfortable, you brand it with your own name. It's probably unimpeachable, just like Trump apparently.
Or impeachable,
anyway. Yeah. God, the whole and there's so we could play the entire thing. I'm not going to. He says that like if you don't change the results before the Georgia runoffs, that they're so mad at you. They're so mad. But if you change it, you'll be so respected. He's like laying out threats and like prizes that he'll give them. And a lot of people, I know that like the overall way that they've presented this call is that this isn't the president, this is a mob boss. No, like, haven't you watched mob movies? They're way more careful on phone calls than Trump is. They're way more subtle. This is like a dumb baby's impersonation of Tony Soprano. Yes. That's all it is.
Yeah. They absolutely know they're being recorded, and it's more like you do the thing. Yeah, we talk about your cousin's wedding. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, but they're not in agreement on this because the Republican Party, some in the Republican Party, don't just work for Trump. Some actually believe in whatever is left of their party. And this is, I think, really interesting. Those 2 points that for me stood out on this call. One, absolutely the way that Trump is suppressing the vote in Georgia when it comes to Republican turnout by saying, oh, Georgians hate you. They hate Republicans. They're not gonna come out. You've got an election coming up, because this was what, days ago? So recently, right? Which is pretty damning. And also like, look, I'm not gonna hold up Raffensperger as some kind of hero, but it is a bold move to release this a few days before the election, knowing what it says, right?
And knowing the threats that he'll face and his family will face.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I also just want to say, Trump threatens Raffensperger and says, look, nobody respects you. Well, some people respect you, but they'll never vote for you. And he's sort of naming what has happened to the Republican Party, which is unless you are so far up my butt, i.e. Trump, unless you are a loyalist, you don't really have a voter base, because the Republican Party has just become a shell company for the Trump organization and a loyalist organization. So he's kind of naming this like cruel reality that actually makes you respect Raffensperger even more, and also makes you know that the future of the Republican Party is very interesting, and the way that will then impact the Democratic Party, because you got so many Republicans for Biden. You've got people who are like, okay, so I believe in reality, ergo I must be a Democrat. This is where we are.
Yeah. And oh God, 100%. Okay, there's just one other aspect of this before we get to the reaction that I want to get to, and that is, if you are watching this and you are a Trump fan, you wear a red hat, you believe that he was robbed, I want to try to convince you that you're wrong. And I understand that you've already clicked away because that is literally how you organize your entire media thing, is to never feel like you might be wrong about anything. But I'm gonna play for you, I'm gonna say for you a little bit of the tape. And it's not gonna be the stuff where he's saying overturn the vote. You're not gonna be convinced by that because you want the vote to be overturned. I want you to listen to this paragraph and tell me if it's consistent with a man who has assembled the evidence that proves that the election was stolen. Because remember, they've been saying for 2 months now, we have the evidence of how it was stolen, okay? Multiple things, whatever it is, it's Dominion, it's a van full of ballots. They have all this proof that it was stolen. Okay, so if they have that proof and they've had it for 2 months, I want you to listen to Donald Trump right here. Because what's the difference between winning the election by 2 votes and winning it by 500,000 votes? I think I probably did win it by 500,000. You know, one of the things that happened, Brad, is we have other people coming in now from Alabama and from South Carolina and from other states. And they're saying it's impossible for you to have lost Georgia. We won. You know, in Alabama, we set a record, got the highest vote ever. In Georgia, we set a record with a massive amount of votes. And they say it's not possible to have lost Georgia. And I could tell you by our rallies, I could tell you by the rally I'm having on Monday night, the place, they already have lines of people standing out front waiting. It's just not possible to have lost Georgia. It's not possible. That is a person who feels shocked by the outcome and is saying, look, people say I had to have won, right? That isn't how you talk about something if you've already proven that it was stolen. You don't talk about it as, well, it must have been because I should have won. That's a person who is fumbling at trying to hold together their preconception of who they are and how popular they are. That is not a person who has proven definitively that this thing has been stolen. And he's months now into dozens of lost court battles. So like if you're a Trump fan and you're watching this, I get that it's difficult. You're probably undergoing a similar sort of thing as Trump is there, where you did believe that he was very popular and you're surrounded by people that like him. And you think, hey, Georgia, it's the South, they must vote for him. But at the end of the day, you're in a similar position to him, which is it's shocking, you don't like it, you don't want it, but that is not the same as demonstrating that it was stolen. And if you're looking to do something so radical, like overturn a state result, which again, I would remind you wouldn't actually overturn the election because he'd still lose even if he won Georgia, then you're gonna need a little bit better evidence than that. And your hurt feelings, it just ain't enough.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like feelings feel real. And I get that they feel, I know you feel like Trump won. And he himself says, in my opinion, absolutely, everyone is entitled to their opinion. That's great. It doesn't mean it is correct. And I know that's hard to separate feel from fact, but it's an important step. I feel like they should, they'd probably mostly teach it in 3rd grade, maybe 2nd and even preschool, but we gotta keep on realizing that over and over and over again throughout life. Don't believe your feelings.
Yeah.
And this has been a message. I just need a star wipe right now, please.
Dun, 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 dun.
The more you know.
Cassie lately has been real good with it. Well, that makes you look cool, so she might not do it. If it's something that makes you look like a fool, she's already done. She's already photoshopped it. I can look at the document and that Tony thing is still in there. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna read some comments from the audience. By the way, notice the producers and the director, we're gonna skip the B block because we gotta move on to other awful news, but we're gonna skip B for now. But anyway, I'm gonna read some comments. Chakuseki said, so can we request Franny to bring out the presidential bad boy paddle and flog Trump's tuchus as punishment for his perfect election call in Georgia?
No.
He wouldn't even feel it through.
He would enjoy that. Are you kidding me? You think a man like this doesn't enjoy? Yeah, he doesn't enjoy public shaming. All he wants to do is be dominated in public because he's being owned. He's been owned since November 3rd.
That's true.
So no,
that's true. By the way, in Twitch, Cisco Kid just reminded me that sound I made was not the more you know, it was Intel Inside. And I think they might be right, actually. Anyway, it's both. Francesca has Intel Inside. And soon all of us are gonna have a little bit of Bill Gates anyway because of the vaccine. Okay, Days Falling Down says, became a member here ASAP. Unfortunately, not a TYT member because the 5 to 8 hour time difference makes viewing live streams difficult. I totally get it, thank you. Franklin Sharpslicer says, I bring forth on January 4th, good wishes to the Dragon Force. Step by step, maybe 12. I send peace to man and elf. By the way, fun Twitch New Year's Eve. With that, I'll leave. Loves, Franklin. They can't all be good. No, that one was good. And I'm glad that everyone who joined Brett and Brooke for the Twitch live stream on New Year's Eve. I'm sure that you had fun, and I'm glad that you had fun, but you did take my buddies away from me, and I couldn't hang out with them because of that. So anyway. Matthew Petranovich says, I love you both so much. I had to do it on Fantastic Monday. You are lovely, dear. I had a question. Does this contribute to the thermometer? Thank you for the super chat. So it wouldn't contribute to the thermometer, but it doesn't have to, because I believe we're done. We already hit the goal. Thanks to the huge amount of support for like 8 months that everyone gave. We reached our goal. And hopefully it's gonna pay dividends going forward, but it has already paid off in that, as we were talking about on the Friday show, a lot of media companies had very difficult 2020s and laid off a lot of people. TYT didn't lay off a single person during the worst year in recent memory, and that is in very large part due to the support that the audience has given. So thank you for that. Regardless of what form, by the way, whether it contributes to the thing or not, it's still support and we appreciate it. Mech says, glad to share a B-Day with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Happy B-Day to us. I'd like to claim Shark Dragon. Also, can we charge those 100+ senators who are with Trump with sedition? Also glad to start my week here. Well, we'll talk a little bit about sedition coming forward, but no, none of them will face any consequences. That's the short answer. Okay, Sandra says, Trump is certifiable and harming the country. What will it take for someone to end this ASAP so we can deal with pandemic? Will supporters be held accountable? We need a guillotine. Okay, we need a metaphorical political guillotine. No, nobody can end this immediately. We just will hopefully get to the 20th, and then bada bing, bada boom, we are in a slightly better position. William, thank you for your super chat. Atticus says, Trump, there's no way I lost. Cut to black, a la Always Sunny. Trump loses the election for the 100th time. The gang tries and fails to overturn democracy. Anyway, over on Twitch, Badrango resubscribed for the 5th month. It says, good morning, lovelies. No, good morning to you, lovely Badrango. Aximom resubscribed for the 3rd month. Thank you so much, Aximom. Inked Betty Gaming says, Fran, I have spread into my comfy pants and can't get myself to put on leg cages.
Yes, that is what they are.
That is all they are.
It's just a straight jacket for thighs. That's what I call pants.
Inked Betty Gaming also said Nixon is rolling in his grave. Who the F did this guy get away with all this? Yeah, exactly. Like it's so blatant. It's so blatant anyway. Super Mario, thank you for becoming a member over on YouTube. Oh, by the way, for our YouTube members, today we have 2 things for you. One is already available for members of all levels. New emoji, Dr. Johnny Bananas is now there. And we're gonna be talking about the pandemic a little bit later on, so maybe he'll make an appearance. Get your bananas ready, everybody. Hold on to your bananas. Anyway, the other one is that it is Monday, so we will have another top 10 list for our tier 2 and tier 3 YouTube members. The first top 10 of the year, of course, has to be predictions. The top 10 predictions of 2021 from Francesca and I. So that'll be available a little bit later on today and should be quite fun. With that said, why don't we jump back into the news, because we are not out of the fire just yet. So at the end of last week, we had Josh Hawley, one senator who said that they would sign on to the radical, hopefully in vain attempt to overturn the results of the election in like 2 days now, actually. But Hawley is not alone. Now there's a bunch. Mitch McConnell had hoped to avoid the spectacle of his party leading a last-ditch effort to prevent Joe Biden from being declared the 2020 election winner. But Josh Hawley said he would raise a general objection, and now others are adding on to it. You've got Ted Cruz, another who, like Hawley, is considering and almost certainly will run for president in 2024, released a statement saying that he would do it because, like, if you're going to end democracy, do it to support the guy who called your wife a hag. But not just him. We also have Ron Johnson, James Lankford, Steve Daines, John Kennedy, Marsha Blackburn, who I believe criticized his call this morning, but is totally in favor of ending democracy to keep him in office. Mike Braun, Cynthia Lummis, Roger Marshall, Bill Haggerty, Tommy Tuberville. So this is not like, it would be bad enough if it was, oh, you got Gohmert and Halls or whatever, or you got Gates and Halls. This is a significant and growing chunk of all of the most powerful elected Republicans in the country saying, we don't like the results. we didn't win. We don't believe Democrats get to assume power no matter how much they win by. And so we, if we can, are just going to steal the election. That's all this is. It is hopefully doomed to failure, but that is what is happening. And it is not just the crazies, it's all of them, which are also crazy, but you get my point.
Yeah, I mean, this is, they are weaponizing once again something that is a norm, is a bizarre procedural part of our already bizarre procedural voting process, which is the Electoral College. And this is really just, you're certifying the election results. You're certifying the Electoral College vote. Pence is supposed to get up there and just be like, I dub the results, whatever. That's it. And they're all now saying, and I guess per the rules, you can raise a flag or raise a question as you pull the sort of Electoral College votes out of what are mahogany boxes straight up and be like, this looks funny. And then if someone in the House agrees with someone in the Senate, which they will, then both houses go deliberate on it for like a couple hours to determine whether or not they're legitimate results. I mean, it is a total slap in the face to everyone who voted. And if you don't think that it is, and if you're a Republican, you don't think that it's an affront to our democracy, then I would ask you to just be careful what you are co-signing when it comes to the future of this country. I mean, these are the same people that go on and on about authoritarian, communist governments and unchecked power. It's like, wow, buddy. Look in the mirror, the amount that you've got in common with all of the corrupt governments that you've been in favor of toppling over the years, that you think we need to spread democracy to. Man, I've said this before, but can someone just coup us at this point? And can it be Denmark?
Would be great. They're very happy over there. They seem to be doing some stuff right.
Yes.
Yeah. And look, I like with so many stories, I get that we don't really need, like most people watching this, they understand what the Republican Party is, or the Republicans are. It feels weird. I'm sorry, it feels weird to call it a political party because this is not, they're not just like a good faith group that is operating inside of democracy. And sometimes we win and sometimes they win, and that's what it is. It isn't that anymore. They have increasingly believed, and more explicitly, that as few people as possible should be able to vote. That's been very clear. As few people as possible to vote to give us the win. But now it doesn't matter. Even if the Democrats overcome these huge structural hurdles that they have constructed for decades and centuries, it doesn't matter because fundamentally they believe they are the only legitimate ones who get to rule.
Yeah.
And they sort of understand that at the end of the day, power is power and nothing else is power. If you can steal it and it's yours, you get to use it. Like if they steal it and then they hand $2 trillion to the rich, you don't get that money back someday. It's out the door. And no, Democrats don't get to win anymore. And I tweeted earlier today, I was like, and I've said this on the show, and I realized in hindsight what a stupid thing I was saying. I said, it's almost certainly gonna be a close Georgia runoff. And I hope that it's not close because if the Dems win, it's close, then they're just gonna they're gonna claim that the Dems stole it again. But then I realized, what am I talking about? If it's close, they're gonna do that. Doesn't matter how big the gap is. They're going to claim every single election is stolen. Remember, it's not just Trump, by the way. There are Republicans who lost elections around the country that you're not hearing much about because of the Trump stuff that are claiming that it was stolen from them. They're just all gonna do it because they know their base is totally down for that. And so going forward, we're gonna have a battle over every single election.
It's so important to remember that this is why we can't have nice things. This is why, we can't actually move forward as a country and enter an actual first world nation and enter the democracy that we keep on saying that we are, because we have actual people inside of that democracy who don't believe in it straight up. And so we have to battle with them. And my God, just looking at the polling out of Georgia, the number of specifically African-American voters who are coming out in this special runoff election, which is incredibly historic. oh, the backlash that is coming from Republicans to try and further subvert, further repress the vote and suppress the vote, further, do all the shenanigans. Let's remember, this president is a guy who on the call couldn't remember the word for echo and just said, "I'm hearing a double sound." He is so dumb. He is so dumb, but not all Republicans are that dumb. Some of them actually are more shrewd. Some of them actually will go as far as, actually setting up an instance of fraud where they can prove it and they can sort of set it up and knock it down. Not this sort of like rando strategy that these crooks are trying right now. So just to say, like, man, as progressives, we have to fight these centrist Dems that hold us back, but we also have to fight these completely out of control, anti-democratic fascists with whom Democrats often want to work with. And we're like, oh my God, are you not seeing what we're seeing?
I mean, let's bear in mind that, like, in response to that call, like, there are elected Democrats who are like, well, we're not gonna like impeach him over, like, we're looking forward, not looking backward. It was like 2 days ago, and that ain't looking that far backward. That's like this. That's all that is. That's how much. It's not like you're gazing through a telescope. That's like, that's all it takes. Like, it's still happening.
Yeah,
he still believes everything he said in the call.
God, this won't be the last crime. Like, when he doesn't leave. Because all of this,
there will be further crimes.
I mean, and John, I mean, this is the thing, is like, all of this is basically, I need something to point to, which is why it doesn't really matter that Georgia won't win him the election. I need something to point to so that when I hunker down with my Secret Service team, I'm sorry, I'm smiling because I think it's really funny to imagine him doing that and not being backed up by the military or anybody and being hauled out of there. Sorry, but when he tries not to leave, he's got to have something to point to. And so far, they've got nothing.
I just imagine like he's being dragged by his ankles, and he's doing the thing where like you hold onto the wall, and like you're gonna like in the movies they scratch lines into the walls, but like he's just been eating Big Macs for years, so he has no nutrients, so his nails just immediately come out. That's how this has to end for it to be appropriate. A nailless Trump, and they pull off his pants by accident. That's the only way this can end. But anyway, let's get back to the serious stuff. Ted Cruz has signed on to this plan. He's going to be one of the senators who objects to the results of the election in a purely performative thing, which is somehow better. Like, if you're actually trying to end democracy, somehow it's better when you just want to let people know that you'd like to. Both bad. But anyway, he says that his critics, his detractors, they're the ones who need to pump the brakes a little bit. On Sunday, he called for critics of his challenge to the results to tone down the rhetoric. I think everyone needs to calm down, he says. I think we need to tone down the rhetoric. This is already a volatile situation. It's like a Tinder box and throwing lit matches into it. Okay, you know what that is? That is, I've just stabbed you. No, stop yelling, okay? This is a really tense situation we've gotten into together. And you don't want to panic at a time like this. You're the one trying to end democracy, and you're saying people pointing that out, they're the ones causing chaos. But that is actually what he's saying. He's saying, just relax. Let's do our jobs. We have a responsibility to follow the law. And I'm not gonna, but like you guys should. It would be really convenient if, as I'm trying to overthrow this whole thing, if everyone else would not stop me, that would be convenient. While I'm criming, could you not point out that I'm criming and please don't try to stop my crimes? I get that would be convenient.
That is really the ideology of the entire conservative movement. And I'm sorry, it is. If you bring up racism, you're the real racist. If you bring up a crime, you're the real criminal. Like, that is all. It is a majority that holds the most power being mad when a minority shows that they're basically bending the rules. Not even a minority. When anyone points out what they're doing and says you can't just do that because you're powerful and wealthy, and then they're like, oh my God, you hate billionaires. Just, man, if I ever get money, I hope I'm not just that weak. Like if I ever like, that's just so sad. It's just like, you got money, whatever, shut up. But here, I love Ted Cruz because this is all basically like, it's like, shh, just quiet. It's just a stunt, okay? Just let me do my stunt, and then I'll let this beard do the talking. Yeah, and you're gonna make me your next president. Like that's all he's trying to do. He's like, he knows that it's a stunt, and he's like, just let me do the stunt. Let me do it.
I think the only thing that makes me feel a little bit less awful about the whole thing is like, and I'll probably be wrong because apparently I'm still naive and optimistic. But he's definitely not going to win the primary, right? Like he's going to do all this performative stuff and make himself look like a possum-faced idiot. But he's not, because he can't deliver the crazy as much. Like people want purified crazy. They want crazy that they can tell themselves that this person who's saying crazy things is being sincere. Yeah. You have to have that empty-eyed craziness. Like remember, this is not true for a lot of people. I have stood near Alex Jones and I have looked into the maw of madness. There are people for whom this ain't an act anymore. Like I've looked into the eyes of great Cthulhu and I lost a bit of my soul. They need people like that. And Ted Cruz can sort of play it a little bit, but he's not a true believer fundamentally. His true beliefs are reprehensible, but he doesn't have these as true beliefs.
Well, he was trying to be Reagan. His whole thing, he is like a child actor and or in a bad like Christmas play. Like, hark, look at the star. Like that is Ted Cruz's soul is a poser. And he was trying to be Reagan in the 2016 election, and now he's just trying to be Trump. And like, homie, like unless he gets really into nitrous in between now and 2024, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, no, you need like bath salts Ted Cruz. That's the current front runner in the next primary. Anyway, okay, we're gonna take a break for just a second and read some audience comments. I was checking to see if there's an upcoming deep dive, but refer to Brooke in the chat and she can let us know when the next episode is happening. Let's see, super chat from Tama Bearden who says, Faye Dragon here, happy New Year's Dragons. Sending luck, love, and fairy dust to all. Let's kick some butt like the progressive superheroes we are. Tama, thank you so much. Happy New Year to everyone. There's no fundamental magic to the changing of the year. But I hope that there can be, so let's pretend that there is. Oh, there is a deep dive today. So after the show, there will be a deep dive. Everyone join Jordan Ewell for that on Twitch, twitch.tv/TYT. I want it to be a good year, and there's a lot of reasons to believe, based on social media and everything, that it's not gonna be, that there's just gonna be some fresh hell. Which is basically what's on the menu for every year, just some fresh hell.
That's something all social new, media that's serves, John. That is what is on the menu of social media.
I know, well, it's social media, that's big tech. They're on your side. Anyway, yeah, I shouldn't be on it because it's a cheese grater to the parts of you that are good. That's all social media is a cheese grater to the parts of you are good and the elevation of the worst of us. But anyway, it'll be as good as we can make it. So we're gonna try. Anyway, Joseph Gundel, thank you so much for the super sticker. Appreciate that. Roger Harris says, where's our Dragon Squad creed, brother John? I don't know if I'm the person to come up with creeds. There's probably Franklin Sharpslicer is really good with the words. Maybe he can come up with something, or feel free, Raja, you yourself. Maybe we can come up with something. I don't know. I feel like we agree on a lot, but probably not some things. Louis Belmont Show says Donald Trump has to show us the undies because he's such a giant baby. Yes. I hate that has stuck.
I feel like we forgot how it started, but I don't care. I'm just glad. I'm actually not glad. I'm just sad that I didn't get to wear adult diapers because we didn't get $2,000, and I would have. Oh, but the bet's off now. Bet's off.
God. Okay. Pinkerbell Pixie over on Twitch says my ex-husband acts like this, like he can just say stuff and that makes it true. I'm assuming that's referring to the tape. Yeah, a lot of people do. A lot of people, because it's convenient. A lot of people like. They run up against how difficult and unfair life can be. And so they retreat into a bunker of their mind, a bunker where everything is what you want. It's all convenient. Everybody who you disagree with is as bad as you want them to be, up to and including baby rapers. That's the modern thing. Yeah, try not to be those people. That would be my advice. If I have one piece of advice for the class of 2021, it's don't be those people. Inconvenient truths are inconvenient. It's part of their nature, but they're also truth. And that's the part of it that I think is more important. Anyway, with that said, why don't we jump back into the news and talk about someone who always puts a smile on her face, Louie Gohmert. So Louie Gohmert's part in this whole plot to overthrow democracy is that he wants to sue Pence because Pence is indicating he's not gonna overthrow it. It's weird, but he does have a new thing, and that is threatening violence if he doesn't get his way. So here is Louie Gohmert on Newsmax.
If I don't have standing to do that, nobody does. And if the appropriate defendant is not the vice president that under the Constitution has the power to make that determination, then there is no. But the bottom line is the court is saying, we're not going to touch this. You have no remedy. Basically, in effect, the ruling would be that you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM.
Well, let me ask you, Congressman Gohmert. I mean, technically, the ball is still in the vice president's court.
Yeah, so we're cutting it off there. But the important part was that she moved on to other things after he said, you need to get out in the streets and be as violent as Antifa. And I think he said BLMA, MN, I don't know what he said, but he means Black Lives Matter. She has a congressman saying people should get in the streets and riot. And she's like, oh, but I love this next question. So let's just move on to that.
I love the right somehow thinks that BLM is a rioting, that they do riots when Proud Boys are there and are the ones instigating a lot of violence because they're fully armed. To imagine to enjoy your own farts that much, and be like, well, we need a violent group like BLM. Yeah, you got them. They've been outside of state capitol buildings throughout the country, protesting safety measures in a global pandemic. They're there. They've been bullying. They've been running cars into. They've been aggressing upon peaceful demonstrators all last year. You got them right there. So it's not. I mean, that's essentially what he's saying. He would never say Proud Boys, because he might accidentally tell them to stand back and stand by. But that's exactly who he's dog whistling and asking to come out to the streets.
Yeah, and they don't even like the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys and they're not pretending that they have some legitimate grievance that they're protesting and what do you know, it turned into violence. They're just organizing to fight people. And I mean, I don't spend a lot of time on Parler or any of these things, but I follow a number of people who follow extremist groups and extremist chat groups. And I am hoping that this January 6th ends up being totally peaceful. Yeah, I've had previous, I love to admit when I'm wrong. So I was very worried about violence on election day, that something would be done to at a polling place or something like that. And it didn't, thankfully. There was intimidation and stuff like that, but there wasn't violence. I was wrong about that and I'm glad. But there are people threatening on the 6th that we've got people, like Proud Boys, we're sending in people. We've got hundreds of people with weapons and everything. They're implying that they want to try to take this thing over by force. It's almost certainly not gonna happen, because that is the quickest way to commit suicide. But there are people saying that. So that's what we have. We have an elected official going on the new Fox News and saying people should riot and they just move on. It's not a big deal, don't worry about it. And then you have at least hundreds of people who are at least dreaming of unleashing their assault weapons on people, whether they'll actually do it or not.
Yeah, and we know, I mean, through white supremacist violence around the country, that actually police are pretty bad when it comes to treating them the same way they do treat BLM organizers, right? And protesters who are largely unarmed. So we're gonna see, and I think we're gonna see this, and this is what I've said before, in this next period, man, we can't have nice things, but we can sure try and put away some of this this disgustingness of our country, this white supremacy, these militant groups. Like, we have a responsibility. Law enforcement has a responsibility to actually, try and stamp them out, because they've, whatever, they are a terrorist threat, and I would like to see them treat them with that same seriousness that they would even dare treat peaceful BLM demonstrators.
Yeah, but yeah, based like you were saying, they're not going to, and it's the most bizarre thing. Like, there's no group like they're more mad still about like a 30-year-old rap song about shooting the police than they are about militia members continually talking about shooting and killing police and federal agents and stuff like that. The far right loves to talk about assassinating law enforcement.
Yes, and Boogaloo Boys have targeted law enforcement and have killed them and tried to blame it on BLM demonstrators. I mean, if just one of them were black, right? Like, what a different conversation. It's up is down in this new reality. And I have to push back, John. I have to say, like, I hear your cynicism, but we have to make sure that crimes are actually investigated, that people do see justice, right? Like, I can't just completely give up on that, even though I know our country, terrible track record when it comes to that.
I agree. Yeah, I'm starting the year off a little bit cynical. I'm switching it up from 2020. Starting off optimistic, turns out that wasn't a good call. So I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna pull a little switchy and we'll see what happens. Anyway, let's move on to a little bit on the pandemic. That was an abrupt transition. That's my bad. Anyway, 2021. It's been 10 months. Anyway, we are way into this pandemic, lost over 1/3 of a million people, and the president, who only has a couple more weeks to be president, and in theory could use that time ramping up production of the vaccine, helping to coordinate the distribution of the vaccine, all of that, instead is spending his last days with political power, implying to people that the pandemic, as bad as it's gotten and as bad as it's getting, is still fake. He tweeted recently, "The number of cases and deaths of the China virus is far exaggerated in the United States. When in doubt, call it COVID. Fake news." He said that on January 3rd. We're losing thousands of people every day. And I know, it's stupid of me to be surprised by any of this, but he's still implying that not just the cases before, they were exaggerated because we were testing or whatever. Now they're just exaggerated. Oh, and the deaths too. Those people didn't die. Well, we do have Dr. Fauci, who is going to once again have to respond to the president undermining his efforts. Because again, if what you need is to get people to get vaccinated, telling them that the virus isn't that bad is a pretty bad way to get people to do that. So anyway, here is Dr. Fauci responding to what Trump said.
Response to that? Well, the deaths are real deaths. I mean, all you need to do is to go out into the trenches, go to the hospitals, see what the healthcare workers are dealing with. They are under very stressed situations. In many areas of the country, the hospital beds are stretched. People are running out of beds, running out of trained personnel who are exhausted right now. That's real. That's not fake. That's real.
Yeah, and like we've been saying for some time now, LA has effectively no ICU capacity. It can't keep up with the number of people. And that's the same sort of story that we know is in a lot of big cities right now. The cases are absolutely out of, there was, I think in one of the COVID reports over the weekend, there was 276,000 cases reported in a single day. Look, we used to have 20, 30, 40. Now it's just, oh yeah, no, more than 250,000 people are being diagnosed every single day. And just imagine what it's gonna be like. And thankfully, you have a transition from Trump being in charge to more of a Dr. Fauci sort of school of taking this seriously. But it's the ever increasing insult to injury of this thing.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think about Holocaust deniers. Like, and if in real time, which we know actually happened, that there were a lot of people denying that there were death camps, that there were a lot of people denying that, anyone was being killed in them. Like, that's the level that we're at right now. And it should not be lost on anyone that the majority of people who are affected are Black and brown Americans. And these are I think that the statistics between whether a Black American or a white American is more likely to die of COVID is 6 to 1 or something. I mean, it's incredible. It is absolutely impacting minority communities. And if it were mostly white people dying, once again, imagine the outrage. But because the Republican Party sees these groups as expendable, these groups as people who can be run roughshod over, whose votes that they can take for granted and can suppress, it's on brand. That's where we are. But look, we are gonna go into a future where if and when the virus stops and there are 400, 500, there might be 500,000 deaths. The Republican Party and a lot of nut jobs will straight up deny they ever died. Oh, where are their graves? Where did they go? Well, no, I haven't heard of a pandemic. Dude, you've got a vaccine right now. Okay, so just the amount of blood on these people's hands, where's our Nuremberg trial? Straight up.
Yeah, it's a third of a million people and it's nobody's fault. Nobody's responsible. If Mexico invaded and killed a third of a million Americans and Trump did nothing, and 10 months into the invasion, he tweeted, "No, they're exaggerating how many of the Mexicans have been killed. It's only a few. It's all you fall off your scooter and you die. They say the Mexicans killed you." Would we just be like, "Yeah, no, that's cool. That's a cool thing the president did, as so many people are dying." But yeah. And I know I don't want to be cynical. We have to engage. We have to push, but when you have a party that can, on the one hand, make, say, Benghazi the biggest story on the right for, let's see, how many years? Well, it's up to this week. So still the biggest story. Those 4 deaths is the biggest story ever. 30 million people dying isn't a story. It's fake news. In fact, they care more now about fictional dead voters than actual people dying. That's trouble for a democracy, where a small thing can become everything and everything can become nothing just if it's convenient for the most powerful, wealthy Republicans in the country.
Yeah, we're basically operating with a wannabe Nazi party in our midst. And we have to deal with that. I mean, we all shudder to think if this administration were smarter. And this is our task. I wish this wasn't our task of this lifetime. I wish it was just climate change. I wish it was just about high-speed rails, which we totally need.
Yeah.
But sadly, our task is also stopping fascism from growing in this country. Stop and actually having all Americans' lives mattering, literally. So what do you do? What did they do in the before times in Germany? This is that moment of well, how do we rein them in? How do we get serious about this threat? Because it is funny. It is funny to watch Don Trump Jr. sing Vanilla Ice at a New Year's Eve party maskless. Ooh, it's just, oh God, John. It's watch the Bitchuation Room, my podcast. But yeah, it's funny, and it's so funny, it's distracting that you're and yet what is just beneath that is a very real threat that is made good on those threats.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna end things on perhaps a little bit of a lighter note. So get ready for this, the last story of the show. Oh, but by the way, if you haven't already and you'd like to become a member on YouTube for our tier 2 and tier 3 members, after the show, Francesca and I are gonna be recording our top 10 predictions for 2021. That'll be available to those members later on. So just a little bonus thing if you're interested. But a little bit more for you on the live show. Let's get into being dad. We are only a few days into 2021, so I can't say definitively who is going to be the biggest villain of the year, but we do have a front runner, apparently, America, and that is Bean Dad. John Roderick, the lead singer of the 2000s era indie band The Long Winters, started a tweet thread that began like this. So yesterday, my daughter, 9, was hungry and I was doing a jigsaw puzzle. So I said over my shoulder, make some baked beans. She said how, like all kids do when they want you to do it. So I said, open a can and put it in a pot. She brought me the can and said, open it how? Now, there's a lot of tweets, 23. I'm not gonna read any of them other than that to you. But the basic idea was every step along the way, when she had an issue with figuring out how to open up the can, he would try to get her to just figure it out. Like he wouldn't explain how a can opener works. He'd just tell her, you should figure out how it works. Every part there is for something. And he has become the biggest villain on the internet. Like people are tweeting, let's see. The thing I like about the Bean Dad thread is he's all, aha, a teaching moment, and then pointedly refuses to teach the kid anything, which is kind of true. Then finally, Bean Dad, like many bad parents, has taught his daughter essential lessons, like your needs are less important than mine. I will not help you when you ask me for help. I will praise myself for denying you help. My ego is more important than you. I cannot be trusted. Sophia Benoit needs a vaccine so she can go fight Bean Dad. And then Bean Dad denying his daughter a vaccine until she can accurately synthesize one herself. So, Francesca, we didn't talk about this for the show. Where do you stand on the Bean Dad saga? Beangate, I call it.
Beangate.
Or Dadgate, whichever.
First of all, DILF, totes, very much so. No, okay, can we just put two things aside? One, no one should have a 23 thread tweet. Just nobody. You're automatically canceled if you tweet in a 23 thread, whatever. Also, nobody calls it a jigsaw puzzle. Don't be a sociopath.
What? That's the problem?
No, okay, I'm just saying there was a lot of word choices that were like, okay, buddy, we know you write and maybe you got an op-ed in the New Yorker, calm down, like calm down. That being said, I kind of dig his methods. I'm totally down with letting your kid figure out, one, because it's entertaining and we are all starved for some just like good content right now. We've all finished Netflix and Hulu and everything else. So watch your kids struggle. I love that. And also, let's be real. Can openers are a conundrum. They're like insanely fascinating. Have you ever got the one that like isn't a side one, it's a top one? Those are so hard. But they're like, they're horribly ineffective. But they like, I think I got one camping once because I got a thing of baked beans and I was like, oh cool, I got baked beans because you go camping. Damn it, I don't have a can opener. So I went to like some gas station and it was just like, oh, the top ones, they're awful. They like go around the middle edge of it.
Hold on, friend, don't explain it to me or else I'll never learn anything. You gotta let me figure out how the top one works.
Where do you stand on Bean Dad Gate?
Okay, so first of all, where I stand on the story is I saw on Twitch, Depressed Progressive said, I'm sorry, but this isn't news. Yeah, no, I know, but can we have fun? Anyway, thank you for watching. Where I stand is, I am not with the Bean Dad is literal Hitler. I'm not there, but I also think clearly he's gone too far. I am going to be two types of dad someday. For a very short period of time, I'm gonna try to be like Bean Dad and like try to inspire curiosity and a critical mind. And then I'm gonna get very tired very quickly and I'm gonna stop doing that. But I would like to think that while 6 hours of her trying to figure out a can opener is too much, is 30 minutes too much? Like, cause you could teach her how to open it or you could instill in her a self-starting, I don't know, it's 15 minutes. I would make her wait 15 minutes of trying to figure it out and then I would explain it. And I think that that's acceptable. Internet, please don't pillory me.
Yeah, I mean, I will just say, imagine the future, like for this little kid, just like, where do babies come from? Figure it out. I'll wait. I'll watch. Like, what? Like,
no. Okay, you're as bad as Bean Dad basically now, but for different reasons.
No, but it's just like the futures. And like, I don't know if you ever had this. I'd always be like, "What's the answer?" You ask your parents what the answer, and they're like, "Well, let me get a sheet of scratch paper," and you're like, "No, not the scratch paper. Just do my homework for me."
Oh my God. Yeah, I'm gonna try to like. So one of the worst things about kids I've always heard is that they ask too many questions. I want to seriously engage with the questions, but I'm going to apply the skill that I have accrued over listening to a lot of people comment on politics, which is you have to be able to tell when there's a serious intellectual honesty and when there's not. If you're asking a question and you're really interested in the answer, I would like to think I'll be the sort of dad that will really try to explain it to you.
Sure.
But sometimes you're just trying to be annoying, and I know that because that is 100% what I was. I was 100% that kid. The test came back. So
that's so perfect. That's so your kids will never be able to get one over on you and ask you a dumb question and like be able to flit off and do nothing and like look at their video games. You're like, no, you sit and listen to. Oh, was that not a good faith question, Chloe? Like,
oh, you want to build a volcano? We're considering plate tectonics up in here. Anyway. Okay, it wasn't news, but it was fun. Thank you, Francesca. Before we close the show, I just want to read a couple quick comments. Sandra Bryan sent in a super chat saying, "Who would have thought Idiocracy would become a prophetic documentary? 100%, except sadder than that. That had sort of a happy ending. Sort of. Gary Does Stuff says, I was late to TDR because I listened to the full call and it hurts. You guys do this every day, not sure how or why. I sort of know how, I don't know why. Thank you for using your superhuman powers for good. Thank you, Gary Does Stuff, I appreciate that. And thank you for one of the things that you do, being watching the show. Steve Ware says, today is my birthday. It'd be awesome to have Franny wish me a happy birthday.
Happy birthday! Woo! Woo!
Can I wish Steve a happy birthday?
No.
He didn't request it.
Woo!
He was just interested in Franny, but Steve Ware, happy birthday, whether you like it or not.
Look at my dad. Look at my dad.
Dango Bengal says Bean Dad's old tweets are super Nazi territory. Okay, well, I will say I did not look into this individual's history.
No, but they're trying to cancel. They're trying to cancel him. That's the whole thing. Is they're like, people are so outraged at Bean Dad. They're looking back into his history. So just never tweet about parenting.
Ever. Yeah, let's see. MSM says, if we're a member on YouTube, how do we find the top 10 list? Asking for a friend. That's a great question. So we set up we have a playlist, right, Marissa? We have a playlist for the top 10 lists? I think we do. I think we have a playlist. So yeah, they'll all be available there. So if you become a member, someday or whatever, they'll all be available, and they'll be easy to find. For that reason, let's see. Franklin Sharpslicer responded to my request saying, Creed, Dragon Squad, creature of truth, born from the flames of justice, forsooth, a bit of beer, a bit of the herb, the truth we will not disturb. I like that there's drinking in there. Thank you. That's not bad. Okay, that'll be our beginning creed, and we'll see how it works in the long run. And then let's see. I can see in the Twitch section, people are posting the Tony again. Thanks for that. Kelly June gifted a tier 1 sub. Thank you for that. By the way, I saw at the beginning of the show that Obi-Wan Kenobi had. I don't see it in the document, but thank you, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jess freaking Ortega has gifted, was gifted by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thank you, Obi, for that. Freddie asks an important question. Why does John's impersonation of Trump sound like Cartman impersonating Trump? I don't know, that's just what we've got. And I'm not changed at this point. Wasabi Dragon, thank you for gifting a tier 1 sub as well. That said, we're a little bit over. Thank you to everybody who watched the show, everybody who's been so supportive, not just today, but all throughout the last year. We've been through most of the roughest part of this patch. We've got a bit of a rough patch that we're heading into right now. And nothing will truly be amazing even after that, but we do have each other. We're gonna get through it. We're gonna try to make the country what it needs to be. Thank you for not backing off from everything and staying engaged with the sometimes very difficult process. Francesca, before we close out, where can people find what I heard was an awesome episode of the Bitchuation Room?
Oh, you're the sweetest, John. Thank you so much. Yeah, listen to the Bitchuation Room podcast wherever you get your podcasts or on my YouTube channel at Franny Fio. We had Chuck Rocha on, and I really pressed him on any criticisms of the Bernie campaign, things he could have done better. I think we got a little bit of something out of him, but yeah, it was a really fun show.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. At the turn of the half hour, Deep Dive starts. Twitch.tv/TYT with Jordan Yule. I didn't see confirmation of who is joining Jordan, but it's gonna be awesome. He gets the best people on there. So head to that at the half-hour mark. And thank you for watching. Until next time, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. I'll see you soon.